Hi everyone, my name is Jasper Radicke and I lead the marketing for AppsFlyer in North America. For those of you who don't know us, AppsFlyer is the leading global mobile attribution company and provider. And what that means is that we really help brands understand how their mobile marketing efforts translate into business results. And since we're really passionate about measurement, I wanted to take a moment and share my thoughts on some of the ways in which measurement will help shape and define the future of marketing. What does the rise of mobile mean for marketers? So traditionally, the growth of mobile is framed as a question of digital transformation, where the mobile ecosystem is characterized by the impressive growth of mobile devices and users, which then is seen as a trend that marketers have to react to in order to stay relevant and in touch with their audiences. Now, this is neither new nor surprising nor particularly interesting. I mean, there have been plenty of media revolutions where the new technology or a new technology sparked an unprecedented growth in the accessibility of a medium. What makes digital media and mobile as a medium different, however, is its ability to allow for media internal behavior. So you make purchases, you interact with content, you provide feedback and interact with brands all within that digital medium. This is sometimes framed as interactivity, but I think it's a little bit different. Theoretically, you can interact with a newspaper. You can crumple it up, you can frame it, you can cut out snippets and rearrange them. You can also interact with your TV. You can switch channels. You can yell at the soccer team that you're rooting for but you feel is underperforming. So these behaviors are interactive in nature, but they don't really make sense within the context of the medium. So from a marketer's perspective, one of the most interesting aspects about this media internal behavior is that it is theoretically observable. In other words, measurability is an inherent and defining characteristic of digital media. Mobile devices and smart devices in particular have added another interesting layer to this digital media revolution. They have vastly increased the connectivity between digital media and external reality. We've seen an explosion of sensors within the devices and also different types of devices. And that has put digital media really in close touch with the lives of the users, adding signals about usage situations like the location, the time, the presence of other devices, while adding yet another boost to the ubiquity of this digital media in our lives. Today, measurability through digital media extends far beyond the boundaries of the medium itself. And together, these developments can create an unprecedented opportunity for marketers to have relevant interactions with their audience, all on the basis of measurable behavior. Unfortunately, marketing has so far pretty much failed to capitalize on these capabilities. In other words, the rise of smart devices has not necessarily led to smarter marketing. Measurement is often limited to questionable vanity stats like ROI, which is a metric that was developed at the turn of the 20th century for decision-making in manufacturing companies. And it comes with a whole load of baggage around and questionable assumptions around cause and effect, and a quite fuzzy definition of what even constitutes an investment. Likewise, performance campaigns, or so-called performance campaigns, are usually designed as single-touch initiatives that focus on conversion point optimization as opposed to actually trying to engage in an interaction with your audience. Now, there is a lot more competition in digital media these days, not only because there was a shift of marketing dollars towards digital and mobile first, but also because so much of our lives are actually now in the digital realm. And it's becoming increasingly clear that in order to succeed, performance marketing has to evolve to capitalize on the unique characteristics of the media types that it operates in. During this process of maturation, the roles of performance marketers will fundamentally change. I would guess that 5 to 7 years from now, the performance marketing jobs that companies are hiring for today will be pretty much gone. So what are some of the overarching trends that will shape the future of a mobile-first approach to marketing? The first one, I would argue, is measurement ubiquity. Marketers will develop a granular and holistic view of their audiences based on measurable behavior. And this will replace some of the traditional audience models where you are grouping individuals based on predefined characteristics, which they are assumed to share, which is really a crutch that helps you do some initial decision making, but it tends to be not necessarily bound by reality. It's a lot of assumptions going into this. Instead of this, pattern recognition by looking at actual behavior can reveal new and indirect and sometimes even unconscious connections between individuals that act in a similar way, and that allows for a much more relevant conversation because it's tied to their specific needs and how they're actually interacting with your brand. The second trend is omni-touch and omni-channel marketing in the true sense. Marketers will view their user funnels holistically and understand customer journeys across channels and touchpoints. Instead of focusing on conversion point optimization, marketers will really orchestrate their campaigns towards an optimal, multi-layered cadence when it comes to the deployment of messaging. And obviously there's a lot of talk about this already, like with all of these trends, but when you look at who's actually doing it and who's doing it well, the number of advertisers becomes increasingly small. The third aspect is automation and auto-optimization. Automation will take over many of the manual optimization processes that marketers are doing today, making both campaigns in general and hyper-personalization much more scalable. The fourth trend that I see is behavioral forecasting. Predicting behavior will not only increase the efficiencies of spend and allocation of marketing resources overall, but it will also allow for more relevant messaging. So for example, instead of limiting a retargeting campaign to items that a user has already viewed in the past, marketing technology will be able to reliably predict relevant messaging and help in the discovery of new offers or items based on what other and similar users are looking at and what they already like. Again, a lot of this is already being done, but not at scale, and it's usually limited to the most data-savvy companies out there. Now, the fifth trend is privacy and data security. And I think it's important to note that this trend acts as a counterweight to all the fantastic opportunities and new measurement capabilities that we just talked about. Because the theoretical prospect of ubiquity of measurement has already triggered an ongoing cultural discussion around the rules of play when leveraging these insights for marketing. And this conversation will continue, and it will intensify with every single data breach, with increased end-user awareness. And we can already see this with recent privacy regulations from governments, but also from businesses and platform operators. The fact of the matter is that too much transparency makes people uncomfortable. And we as marketers have the duty to recognize this and build campaigns and technologies that are not perceived as intrusive and that are aligned with the expectations of the end users. So one of the things that I find quite helpful is really to differentiate between measurement and tracking. And here at AppsFlyer, we often use an analogy of a coffee house or your favorite coffee shop to signify this difference. Imagine your to-go spot where you get your coffee every day. Let's say most of the days you'll go there, you get a strong black coffee with a bit of sweetener in a to-go cup. Now, over time, what's most likely going to happen is that the staff will recognize you as a regular. They will remember you. They may even know your name. They will anticipate your order before you even say it. And over time, they will also learn that on weekends, you're more likely to take a different beverage, or that you sometimes sit outside and read a little bit while sipping your coffee. And this is how brands and companies build relationships with customers by paying attention to the different touch points with these individuals and then adapting their behavior based on past interactions. Now note what's not happening here. The staff from the coffee house is not searching your social media profile for what you do after work, review your pictures, recognize that maybe you have a 6-month-old daughter at home, and the next time you go in there, they're saying, oh, we recognize that you fall into the persona profile of urban first-time parents, so why don't you have a double espresso today? It seems like you're tired. Because that would be pretty creepy. Okay, to be fair, this analogy is a little bit over the top. But I think there's still a learning here around how to balance measurement versus privacy. Because if you're looking to build a relationship with an individual, you need to recognize them in the context of their interactions with your business. Many aspects of their personality outside of this relationship are pretty much not that meaningful or only tangentially relevant for you as a marketer when it comes to interacting better with them and also anticipating how they want to interact with you. In other words, the relationship that a person has with one brand like Starbucks can be very different than the relationship that they have with another brand like Nike. And for decades, marketing was all about this one-way street of building a brand in the mind of the consumer as a connected set of associations. But measurement in the digital realm gives us the opportunity to make this a reciprocal process, where marketers learn who their audience is in relation to their brand. And measurement can almost act as a new sense that makes these types of interactions visible from the very beginning. And that leads to a situation where both marketers and the end users can win. Or to put it into the words of Seth Godin, it's easier to love a brand when the brand loves you back. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a good rest of your show.